my channel. My name is Jasmine, and this is my podcast, the Knits and Knots Podcast, where we talk all things knitting, knotting, crafting in general. Today is a very special video because we will be talking all about future projects and what I have on my crafting schedule. So I've found that I'm the type of person that really needs a crafting schedule, and this is what we're going to be talking about. I've got a lot of upcoming projects here that are really exciting to me, and I'm excited to share them with you in general. I hope you have something with you, like a nice hot beverage, such as a coffee, like I have myself, even though it is dark outside, but such as the winter. I swear, it's like 4 p.m. in the summertime is a completely different 4 p.m. than in the winter, where it's like, okay, the sun is setting. It's time for me to go and hibernate in my cave. So, cheers, and let's get started. So, these here, well, first off, I need to open my wonderful little box of goodies. I have some knitting projects. I believe I have 3 knitting projects that I'm anticipating anyways on my crafting schedule, as well as a quilted vest, which will be made out of linen, and so you'll see that here in a minute. So though this is the Knits and Knots podcast, I love all things crafting. I'm a sewist, I'm a quilter, knitter, crocheter, you know, all sorts of little crafty hobbies where I get to tinker and make something with my hands, and I'm just all for it. So that is why we have one of these sewing projects in there. But I'll first start off with the yarns that I have with me and what I plan on doing with them. So this yarn is actually extra. I purchased this, it is Muse, so it's 100% merino wool from Knit Picks. I really love Knit Picks stuff, if you haven't been able to tell. But this is the Muse yarn. It's an Aran weight. It's a really beautiful kind of, it reminds me of like Carnival maybe. It's a really nice thickness on there. You know, it's not quite as heavy as a worsted, I mean, if you know your weights, but when it knits up, it kind of stretches out a little bit, so I'd say it's pretty true to its size. Some Aran weights, you know, if they're, especially wool can be kind of stretchy and have a lot of give. Sometimes they get nice and thin. This one doesn't really thin out a whole lot. It's pretty plush. I purchased this well, first off, a while ago I was going to make my daughter a jacket with this, and I just never got around to doing it, and I kept the yarn in my stash, and you know, it's really nice yarn. I love the color of it. I think it's a really pretty, you know, kind of colorful carnival-like color, and I just wanted to do something with it. I know that I love color personally, and so I just kept it in my stash and didn't really have any ideas. And then I am knitting something with it currently. It is on my needles. I won't show you because it's intended to be a gift. We'll see how much I like it when it's done. That's a separate video, but the intention is that this was going to be for something that I'm making, and I over purchased yarn. So now what I'm going to do with it is I am going to make something for my daughter. It's like a perfect amount. I think I'm gonna make her a little balaclava with this, just like something cute that she can kind of put on and wear, so that way, you know, it's getting really cold here. We just went for a nice long family walk, and it was so windy, and I just wish that she had something that wasn't like falling down. Her little beanie that she has was just, pardon me, slipping off of her face, and every so often she'd go, ah, and look in the stroller and her beanie would be down to here. So I thought, you know what, that's actually perfect. I will knit something that's nice, it's, you know, colorful, it's girly, it's very soft, so highly recommend. So it's let's see the yardage on this. 114 yards, so I think that's fine for like a baby-sized little hood. The pattern that I was knitting its companions with called for, I think, 500 or so, and so I over purchased yarn, which I do typically, but I'm someone that would rather over purchase yarn and find something else to do with the other yarn than to purchase like just enough amount and not only play yarn chicken, but then also potentially, if I lose yarn chicken, having to wait to finish my project that I was clearly like knitting enough to get to the end, you know. And so I lose steam that way. Like if I don't just like crank them out, then I'm not gonna get it done. So I've learned that about myself. This second ball here, it was a hank like this, and I sat there and I wound it, and I was so used to winding this thicker yarn. I do it around my legs because I don't have like a Swift or anything. I really don't purchase hanks very often, so I haven't felt the need to purchase a Swift. But I'm used to winding this. So when it came to this is a sock weight yarn. It might even technically be lace weight because when you pull it, it has so much give, but it's this like little kind of blue and white speckly fuzzy. It is superwash merino, so it is for socks. That is what I purchased it for, and it's called Sapphire Sea. It's a hand-dyed yarn, and I saw it, it looked really pretty, and so I wound it out of the hank, and it just took forever because I was so used to this thicker one that I was just going around and around. And then when I thought I was mostly done, I still had like halfway to go, and I immediately regretted it. But I do want to knit myself a pair of socks, and so I have this ball here as a real sock weight yarn, and I'm excited to knit on it. It was really pretty in the hank. Like if you can just imagine these colors here, it was like blue on the ends like this, and then in the middle it was like a speckly white. So like speckled with just like a bunch of different shades of blue, and there's like some pink and purple colors in there as well. And yeah, it's mostly just blue and white, but when you untwist it, it's like, it'll be really interesting to see what pattern it ends up in. I haven't swatched it yet, so I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna look. But I like the colors in general for socks, and so I thought it would be fun. So even if it knits up kind of weird, they're socks. Like everybody needs socks. No one's really gonna see them if you don't want them to. So that is the plan here. And then we're getting into the exciting stuff, which more Knit Picks yarn. Oh wait, no, just kidding. Well, also kind of Knit Picks actually, because this is Drops. This is Drops Air, and I have 4 balls here. And the intention for these balls is I am knitting a sweater, but these are going to be like a motif on the front. Would it be called a motif if it's not like put on? I guess, right? Like a landscape kind of picture. So I have been knitting back and forth, which is just painstakingly taking forever, with Knit Picks Wonder Fluff in like the gray, it's called Cobblestone Heather. So in my first video of when I first ever knit myself a sweater, I was also using Knit Picks Wonder Fluff still. I really like the Wonder Fluff yarn. It's pretty economical, like I said previously, and it feels really nice. I would honestly wager to say that Wonder Fluff, now that I'm holding Drops, because previously I said I've never knit with Drops yarn, or Drops Air anyways, I like Wonder Fluff better. Maybe that's sacrilegious, I don't know. People are just like obsessed with Drops and Drops Air. They say that it's like so nice and like fluffy, but I think Wonder Fluff has them beat quality wise. But anyways, with this Cobblestone Heather, I thought that I brought it back with me, but apparently I did not. It's gonna be just a regular, I mean, you'll see it eventually, but a gray sweater, just like a turtleneck or maybe a mock neck, you know, kind of have a tighter collar, with a little farm scene. And I was going to do like a little border and then look into, so a border with this plus the clouds, because every farm scene needs some clouds. and have these be the rolling hills. So I have two different tones of green here. This is, looking for the name of this yarn, and it doesn't say, it's just, it says color 48. So whatever that is. I know one is forest and one is moss green. I'm gonna guess that this is forest and this is moss green. But yeah, so I have colors 48 and 46 here. And these up close, you might be able to tell that they are two different tones. I purchased these online. We can't really get drops. The brand in the United States at least nowhere around me carries it. So I have to go on Etsy, and then the only people on Etsy that I can find that sell it are in like Lithuania and other parts of Europe, and just, you know, so I had it, I guess, technically imported. But yeah, I made it through customs. Online, they looked like there would be a better like difference in color, a more like contrasting types of green. Like this one looked like it was going to be, and it is really cool toned, but it looked like it was going to be way more cool toned, and that this was going to be like a deeper, more olive. And maybe I'm just colorblind. I'm starting to find that out. Like now that I've been quilting a lot, like when I take color pulls and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is gonna look so great. And then I get into person and I'm like, this is not at all what I was expecting. So maybe I'm colorblind, or I just have no taste, which is possible. But yeah, I'm not disappointed with these. I was just hoping like that they would be a little bit more like vibrant, or, you know, you could differentiate between them more, because I feel like against the gray, and the cobblestone heather is like a more consistent gray than what I'm wearing right now, but I feel like it's not enough, you know? Anyways, I'm gonna be doing a landscape scene with these as like the rolling hills and grass, and then sky. And again, this one, just, not that it was misrepresented, but like it just, and I know that this one is called sky blue, but online it just looked so much more like pale. And in person, I mean, this is very much like little boy blue type blue. This is color 16, and I don't know if the people that I was like purchasing from, her shop, if she was just like giving them real names, like, you know, the sky blue, because I remember that this one was sky blue on her Etsy page, but here it just says color 16. But yeah, it's very, very blue in person, and, you know, I think it'll be fine. But I'm just like, I was so excited for this project of potentially, you know, making my own. This is a self-drafted pattern. It is a self-drafted chart for, you know, it'll go here, kind of like a picture frame almost, was the plan. And I was so excited for it. And now that I've received this, I'm like feeling a little bit discouraged, but I'm not going to let that stop me, because I mean, I already have the yarn. I'm not going to send it back to Lithuania. You know, so we'll see where it goes. I guess the worst part about this type of knitting is just like, I mean, if you're not following a pattern, you have no sense of like what it's going to look like. I mean, on Ravelry or on Instagram, you can at least kind of see the finished product, and this is just in my head. And there's a lot of stuff going on up there, and who knows how crazy this will look, if it'll even be remotely readable. Who knows? So there's that project. I'm just getting crowded by yarn. It's not the worst thing to be crowded with, I guess. So this upcoming project, I'd like to preface by saying this is not an original idea. This is a, sorry, I had to get it. That was crazy. It was like a little mosquito or something flying around. This is not an original idea. I stole this. This is plagiarized. Not fully, but the inspiration, I was inspired by a gal on Instagram. I believe it's Mossum, Mosssom, but there's like M.O. And I could be butchering that entire Instagram handle. And again, I use my phone, so I wish I could look it up, and I should have looked it up before starting this. But she does a bunch of really cool like quilted sweaters and vests, and just like has a bunch of really neat stuff that she makes, and she uses linen and like kind of pieces them together. One of my girlfriends, she also quilts, and I sent her like a screenshot of this gal's page, and I was like, have you checked this out? Like, I think you'd really like her stuff. And a lot of it reminds me of like Matisse, the artist, because it's like, I don't know, the way she puts stuff together is just really cool and like abstract, and uses really cool colors, and you know, all of that to say, I was inspired by what she was doing, and I wanted to kind of recreate it. Obviously not like word for word or linen color for linen color of what she's got going on, but I really wanted something similar, and I just started randomly selecting little sample size linens to purchase off of Etsy. I've purchased from well, the larger piece that the vest will be made out of, I guess I could start with that. The larger piece I have here is a kind of just a regular gray looking, creamy, I mean the color is oat, I believe, and this is from Ernest Quilt on Etsy. It was relatively affordable. I think this was like $20 some for 2 yards. I mean, linen is kind of more an expensive type fabric. It might have been around $28, but I got 2 yards. For a quilted vest, I feel like that's enough for just me. I'm actually pretty small now that I'm back to my pre-pregnancy size, so I really don't think I need a whole lot. And this is what the base is gonna be. So I'm really hoping it doesn't wash me out. Again, this color wasn't misrepresented, but maybe I just, you know, was a little too inspired. A lot of this gal's quilted vests and quilted jackets that she make are kind of this beigey, oaty sand color, and then she does a lot of colorful like applique pieces on top of it, and that's kind of where it draws your eye. And I think I was a little bit too inspired, instead of just finding something that was maybe more my color and then switching to something less colorful and more neutral on the pieces here. That maybe that would have been a go. But I do have these little linen pieces, and again, maybe I am colorblind, you guys, because look, maybe it's specifically with greens, because I thought that these were going to be like two obviously different colors, and maybe they are to you guys, but to me they're like just almost like 1 or 2 shades different. We have a green scene problem over here. I mean, yeah, that almost looks like those would be, this is more cool toned. But anyways, so I just started like seeing colors that I liked, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put that in my cart. So this is Arrowwood. These 2 golden ones, these are the same. I did purchase 2 of this because I figured I really like this color a lot, and I could do several, you know, different pieces there. These green ones, here we have Finch and Bronze Olive, Finch. And this is more of like a gray green, actually. I feel like it's closer to gray than it is to green. But when it's with greens, it's like a green gray. I don't understand color theory. I was never like an artist, so I can't read music, any of that, but I have an appreciation for all that cool stuff. But yeah, color theory, music theory, any theory, and it's like whew, over my head. So this is called Dusty Pink, and I think that's an accurate representation. It's a little bit pink, kind of peach colored. And I just liked the way that these kind of looked together in my cart, and I thought, I could probably do something with that. And the design, this is called Marsala. The design that I was planning on originally is not at all the direction I think I'm going. I'm hesitant to even share this because it might go a completely different direction, but I feel like the direction that I would like it to go, after seeing all the sample colors that I was sent, because they do this, you know, they're like, oh, pardon me, buy more. And I was given, you know, all these little guys, and I was very generously given these big ones, which I like practically paid for. And separate, so these were separate people, I forgot to mention that. So Earnest Quilt was just this base color, and then these samples here that are stapled. These were from a different person, and I forget what her shop was called. It was like, it was kind of funny, Yama or Zama, something like that. And she sent a bunch of really fun and colorful samples, whereas Earnest Quilt sent a bunch of like nice neutral ones, which is kind of, I mean, she read me correctly here. I mean, this is what I purchased from a separate store, and then this is what I was just kind of gifted as a sample from the other store, and it's pretty much all of the ones that I had picked out for myself. So I don't regret purchasing this because, I mean, who knows? I wasn't expecting to get samples, but it's just kind of funny how that worked out. So I've got extra of a very similar toned linen, but then I was given all of these, and immediately there's just so many blues, and then this bright blue mixed with these bright kind of, you know, this golden, and then the pomegranate, and I was kind of getting like Italian Italian scene. Really into scenes lately, I guess. But there's a little town outside of Venice. I believe it's called Burano. I could be butchering that. I could be misremembering. But when I had the chance to visit Venice, I did not make it to Burano. It was about a 30-minute boat ride from Venice to where it was. I mean, they have so many stops, right? Like when you're in Venice, it's really wonderful. I didn't quite realize that it was like, you know, you see the people in their little gondolas and the, you know, whatever, canoeing or having their own personal little kayak type boat, a little pontoon boat. And, you know, you think that's just kind of what it is, but they have these big, if you haven't been to Venice, big like commercial like speedboats. So like here I'm in Portland, Oregon, and we have like the bus transportation system here for public transportation is called TriMet. So it was like their version of TriMet, but it was boats. Anyways, you could hop on one of those, and then it's like the public transportation. So there's different stops that you can get off at. And I was like not expecting that. I thought they were all going to be like little tiny river channels, and that's not quite the case. There are some bigger rivers. Anyways, it was about 30 minutes outside of where I was staying in Venice, and I didn't know much about Burano at the time, and I just was like, I'm just gonna stick with what I know. I'm gonna go here. I was traveling by myself, and I don't know, someone was like, you have to go, you have to go. And of course they were just so adamant, and I had like 2 days left, and I just didn't make time for it. But it's like the most colorful city in the world, or well, at least in Italy. But I mean, that's what they tout, right? Is that it's so colorful because all of the houses are like seriously like pink and purple and these different crazy blues, and it's just like, you know, this beautiful, picturesque, little colorful coastal town. So you've got these, you know, the ocean's right there, and then you've got all these beautiful little tiny homes. And yeah, I think I might, I mean, when I saw this, that's immediately what I thought was just like, I thought of Burano. I thought of being in Venice and all of the beautiful colors. And these are just like with the sample sizes too, like they're perfect little house sizes. So I don't know if I'm going to do clusters of houses, how I'm going to do it at all. We'll see. It could be a pretty lofty goal. I might get re-inspired and do something else. It might change directions entirely, but I really like where this is going. I think I just need to like sit on it. You know, I just received all of this in the mail, by the way, like this week. It was a pretty crazy week. We had a situation at the house with some unsavory characters. And so because of that, we got a dog. So I haven't been doing much knitting aside from the fact that I was waiting on things to like come in for me to actually knit with, because I do have a big stash, but I've been prioritizing like having like a set schedule, like what's on my knitting schedule, what do I want to get done, and then just being able to like cross it off, because it keeps me motivated, it keeps me on track. I can mix in some palette cleansers and some bigger projects, but it makes sure that I'm just like actually working towards something versus just having like this huge stash and not really knowing what to do with it. And if I keep looking this way, it's because I can see it. It's in this closet. Like, I'm looking at you, Hobby Lobby yarn balls. But, you know, we had a crazy week and I didn't get a whole lot of like knitting done. I was waiting on stuff to come in. We got a dog. Our previous family dog ended up liking my mom better, so she left to be with my mom. And yeah, we needed a guard dog. I think that there's the encounter that we had was just sketchy enough to warrant getting a dog that at least looks intimidating. And she's wonderful. She's been a dream. Her name is Holly. She's a little German Shepherd. We rescued her, and she's been a great addition to the family. But because of that, like getting her adoption all set up, getting the house set up, bringing her home, dealing with the kids, and she's just been so incredible with the kids, and the kids have been so great with her, and it's just like, just want to know what her story is, you know, because she's just been so sweet. She definitely seemed like she was a loved dog or someone lost her, but they had her on a hold at the shelter and nobody came to claim her, and we were the first in line. It was very serendipitous the way that it worked out. She's just been so great to have around the house, but because of that, I haven't done much projecting. Haven't even wanted to start something either. Like typically when I have a lull like this, waiting for product to arrive or, you know, a dry spell, crafting wise, I'll just kind of scrounge through what I have and just start something just to like start it. And I didn't even do that. So that's how you know I was down bad this week. We had a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, but I am really excited to get to work on all of these. If I had to prioritize, I'm wrapping up this potential gift. If it looks terrible, then all of this is going to be put on hold, and I've got to actually put something together that's going to be gift worthy for my intended recipient, because they're very important to me and I want them to have something that I have made. So if that goes well, it's going to be landscape sweater. I'm actually already pretty much finished with the back panel. The construction of it is just up and over the back, seam the sides, arms, neck, you know. So I finished up over the back because I had all the cobblestone heather, and then I think I'm about, maybe not quite all the way up the back, but probably to the armpit. This will be on the front. That's my other priority. Then I'm going to jump to this because I know that I could crank this out in at least 2 or 3 days. Sewing is really not hard at all. It's like the applique portion that might be a little bit tricky, but it kind of depends, you know, on where I plan to place things. And then if I have time, if I get around to it, knit myself some socks. This is like, what I like about sock knitting, at least, the idea of, is that it's pretty portable. Like I know that this will fit in my purse. The double pointed needles are like this big. That'll fit in my purse. I can do this on a plane. Like, you know, I've always got some time for some socks, but I can't always be carting around like applique pieces or a big old freaking sweater that's, you know, needing to be worked with color work, and I need 5 different balls of yarn. So that's kind of the prioritizing. It's not on camera, but hopefully by my next video I will have something to actually show you, but I knit my son a sweater. I was again inspired off of somebody else on Instagram, and I had yarn that matched kind of the look that she had. I mean, generally the look is there, but in her pattern it's very different. But yeah, I was inspired by that, and I did do some knitting, I guess, since I've seen you last, but it was a chunky knit sweater, so it knit up in like a day. It really wasn't like a big project, but hopefully I have that to show you. It just needs its little final touches, and I want to have an actually nice piece, I think that's where we'll end it. Anything else from here on out is just me oversharing, which I do a lot of. So if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. Your time is very valuable, so thank you for spending it with me. I hope that you got some good knitting in. I hope you were working on a project potentially. If you're just watching or listening, that's also, you know, always welcome as well. But if you were doing something, I hope you got some good rounds in. And until next time, I bid you adieu. If you liked this, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. The handle is the same, KNOTTY barista, BARISTA. All right.